Let's get back to our project. I had to take a little break and now it's nighttime, but hey, that's not going to stop me from getting this done. I got a nice light here. I think you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I've got to do is strip this wire now. I'm just going to reach up in there, just like I did before. You know, hold it there above. You don't want to cut yourself as you're doing this. Reach up in there as far as you can and pull on this, and it kind of stretches it a little bit. And then you can saw that off. Looks like my box is ever so slightly loose. Probably have to tighten that up a little bit too. I can do that later. Okay, and I can cut these probably the same length as the other ones for right now. I'll end up doing something different in a minute. This will just get some of the excess out of here. Easier to cut one piece at a time, but you could cut all three if you want. Okay, now we don't have to really take stock of our wires and figure out which one went where, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, we're just hooking up a standard duplex outlet, and the first thing I do here is I just get everything resituated. So I want to reroute the ground wires, and I work on the ground wires first, and I want to situate them so that I know they're all, when I push them back, they're all going to go all the way into the back, you know. So that's what I do first. Push that back. I know that's going to go back there. I don't want it overlapping anything else because then it's going to fill up my box. Now see, this one is over this white wire, so I relocate that, get this white wire out of the way. Now I know that ground wire is going to go all the way back in there. And this short ground wire is going to go back in there, okay? So that's all I'm concerned with right now. Just want to push the black and white wires out of the way. And now I've got 3 ground wires here I'm going to be working with. So far so good. Okay, I just tighten these screws down just a little bit. Just a hair loose from all the wiggling that's been going on. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to take the white wires. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the ground wires, just to rearrange them, get the black ones out of the way. I know the white wire is going to have to come out on the left-hand side of the plug, so I'll just, because the ground wire is down at the bottom left, I'll make the white wires are going to go the top left, okay? I want to relocate those off over to the left, so when I push them back in there, they're not going to overlap the black ones, okay? So you just kind of look back in here and do what you got to do to get those back in. All right? Okay, so now I know that one's over there. Make sure you get the white wires, not the painted black ones. Okay, so now the black wire's all up there, the white wire's over here. Okay, now what? We got 3 wires here. We can't connect 3 wires like that to 2 screws on this plug. It's just not going to work. Now, there's holes on the back, but I don't want to put 1 on the back, 2 on the side. I'm going to have too many wires coming out here. Then I'm going to have to squiggly all of them in there. That's going to be kind of tricky in itself. Okay? So, what to do? Well, here's what we're going to do with that. I'm going to take these 3 wires and I'm going to make 1. How am I going to do that? You remember I had some little extra pieces that I cut off the full length ones. You like to save these, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these back. I'm gonna take this and bend it. I'm gonna hold it right in here like that. I'm gonna put a wire nut on there. Then I'm only gonna have one wire, this wire here, coming out of the box. I wanna cut these back far enough so I can bend them back in. I don't want them out this far and then have to triple bend them and fit them back in there. I won't have enough room for my outlet, will I? Okay. The first thing I got to do is I'm just going to cut these back. I don't want to get them too close to the wall, but I want them far enough out here so in case anybody's working on this box again in the future, they can pull these wires out and do something with them, okay? Alright, so I want these all about the same length. Like that. I can hold them up there. That looks really good. Okay? Now I need to strip those back. Just going to take our wire strippers and strip this back. And there's different little numbers on here. You want the corresponding one. You'll figure it out. I'm looking for the number 12 on here, and I know exactly which hole that is. I'm first going to do that. I want these all about lined up about the same. Now these I don't want sticking out an inch because I'm going to need to put a wire nut on those. Okay? And I don't want the back side sticking out beyond the wire nut. Okay, so those look pretty good. Maybe a ½ inch or so sticking out. Let's see what it is. ½ inch, maybe. This one looks short half. And there's not a, you know, do I measure all this stuff all the time? I mean, once in a while I do, because I don't do this every day, you know. But the good thing is I know how to do it. So because of that, you will too. Okay, so I got this length here. I'm going to strip the end of that off. About the same as those. I can kind of look at that and line that up. Now I'm going to bend that like that. Okay. Now I can hold those all together in one hand and take a wire nut and clamp that down with a wire nut. You want these all to fit in there nice, and if they don't, you may have to readjust the wires a little bit. And I'm using red wire nut here because I've got, this is 12 gauge wire, and the wire is pretty stout. And last thing you want is to use too small of a wire nut. This tip is not perfectly straight, so you know what, that one probably needs to go back just a hair, like that. Now if this was 14 gauge wire, I might be able to get by with the yellow wire nut. Yellow wire nut's smaller. Okay, so I got a red. I want to put a red on there and hope that I get them all here. There we go. And an interesting thing with this particular red wire nut, you don't see any ears on it. Now some of them have ears that you can really crank down with your finger and your thumb. This one doesn't have one. So I'm going to take a pair of pliers. I'm just going to spin this a couple times. Some people frown on this, but you know, it's not like I'm going to break it. I don't really think I'm going to over tighten it. I just want to get it on there a little bit tighter. Okay, that's tight. You want to pull on all these. Make sure everything is tight, because sometimes you might think it's tight. You pull on one and it pops right off. Okay? And actually, because it doesn't have ears, it won't take up as much room in the box, will it? Now, I'm ready to push that back in the wall. Okay, I have to bend this down in there. And let's see how we're going to do this. I might have to double it. Okay, a little short one here, like that. And then I'm going to roll that up again. Get my finger back in there. And roll that up again. Okay, like that. And then I get the white wire out there like that. Okay, there we go. See? That's why you gotta get it back in there and do it properly, because there's a right and wrong way to kind of fill up the box. You don't want to get the box so full that you can't get this plug in, because see how thick this is? You can't have anything in the way for that to get back in there, or else we're in deep doo-doo. No other way to say that. Alright, so now I got the white wire, the top left, the ground wire in the bottom left, and the black wires. Now we got to do the same thing with the black wires, because I'll just have one wire coming out, because I got 3 wires, and I'm going to have just one coming out, just like the white. Now here's something else I could have done. See, there's different ways to wire up boxes like this. This is just a standard box, okay? Now, I could have taken just 2 wires and put a pigtail on it, and maybe got a yellow wire nut on there, push that back in the box, then I only have 2 black wires coming out. And I could have done that on the white and only had 2 white wires coming out instead of 1. But at this point, because I had to do this and put a little pigtail on here anyways, I just decided to do it with the red wire nuts. Then when I put this plug back in, I only have to deal with 1 white wire, 1 black wire, and the ground wire. I don't have to get 2 white wires, 2 black wires, and a ground wire squiggly back into there. You see what I'm saying? It's one way or the other will work just fine.